Welcome to Comfort Havoc number 2. This is my final video for tonight. I never got my tea because I got to talking. And we're going to touch on some very testy subjects tonight. So it's going to be all of these live matters movements. Now let me explain myself to y'all on that. I'm touching on this because of another video that I also saw on Instagram, and I want to get this off my chest because all lives do matter. Now, here's where things go from 0 to 60 on the level of I just pissed you off. So before I open up my mouth, let me open it up with an apology to everyone, my 101 followers, because I got a new follower today, so thank you to the new person, and everyone else. Alright, we're leaving politics out of this shit because I don't give a damn who you vote for. I know you're questioning my morals on who I voted for, and I will question yours, but it won't change how I feel about you personally, because you're gonna vote for you're gonna vote for whoever you want, and that's the bottom line. You're gonna vote for whoever you want. And here's my thing on that: as long as you vote, I don't care. All right. And while we're there, let me go ahead and tell you, I will more than likely be voting for Biden, not because I want to, but because I voted for Elizabeth Warren, and she didn't get the nominee. Now let me explain why I voted for Elizabeth Warren before everybody starts saying anything. Elizabeth Warren has proven that she has Native American blood in her, and for no matter how small the blood is that she has in her, it would be fucking awesome to have one person in the entire universe who's Native American, or at least a little bit of Native American, be at the head of the White House, the way it probably should have been since the dawn of time. However, that's not going to happen because Biden beat her. So now I'm going to have to vote for this guy. If I don't vote, I can't complain. Now we're done with my voting. We're getting to the serious heart of this matter, which goes back to let me apologize for everything that's about to happen after I stop talking about politics, which is now. So I apologize for everything I'm about to say. I'm about to offend everyone on the planet with the hardcore, God-to-honest truth. I have made videos about this before, and we're all running in our own world with blinders on. Alright, so you have Black Lives Matter, you have White Lives Matter, you have Asian Lives Matter, and whatever other ethnicity did you want to go by. All of us have a movement. Alright? So, that being said, that's why I'm apologizing, because everything else I'm about to say is going to be highly sensitive and it's going to piss people off. So, at this point in time, I will apologize one more time because you're not going to like the truth. And the truth is not always kind. And no matter how kind I try to put this, it's going to piss off somebody. So, I'm sorry. Let's begin now. Alright, so chronologically and statistically speaking, everything I'm about to say, you'll probably go fact check it. But let's start off with the video that I watched this morning. So, it might have been this evening, but sometime today I watched a video on Instagram where these two white guys was arguing. And one of the white guys had a Black Lives Matter poster. The other white guy came up and started talking about how all lives matter, and he was pissed off that a black guy shot a young white lady in the head and killed her. And he used the N-word quite a few times. But the people who were doing the Black Lives Matter didn't know about the young white lady getting shot by the young black man. We're going to come back to that because that's very important. I don't try to leave any stones unturned. We're going to come back to that. So in the video, the guy with the sign was talking about Breonna Taylor or Turner or whatever her name is that was shot, but the no-knock warrant and things like that. Well, the big guy who was worried about the black guy who killed the white girl was jumping down his shit without knowing why the white guy was holding a sign, and he started calling them out all kinds of the N-word and everything, and then the young lady explained to him why they were there about Breonna Taylor. And then she also explained to him that they had no clue that some black guy shot some white girl in the head, and the white girl's 21, which means her life was just starting. He doesn't mention how old the black guy is because he's calling the guy with the sign who's white the N-word. And he's flipping off, but he's not explaining his thing. Now, here's the thing. Alright, metaphorically, so that way it's covered, and in my personal opinion, interracial relationships generally don't end that way. Because most interracial relationships, I should know, I speak from them firsthand because I don't date other black chicks. Most interracial relationships last longer than your standard black and black, white and white, and Asian and Asian. Let me put a little asterisk there because, alright, in some Asian cultures, even though the relationship doesn't last, people still stay legally married. I know this happens in the Philippines because I talked to a couple of my Filipino friends on freaking Facebook. So I was going to say Instagram, but I don't know how to operate Instagram. But I know on Facebook those bubbles come across your phone. And a lot of people on Instagram, they're like, I guess because a lot of Filipinos are either Roman Catholic, or Muslim. I don't know if there are any Christians or anything, but a lot of these cultures do not believe in divorce. But they break up, but they're still legally married, and the man goes off and makes more babies by other chicks. It's a long clusterfuck that I don't have time to dig into. So we're going to get off of that. But for the most part, most interracial relationships tend to last longer. And the reason why people go into interracial relationships is because the person in their race is not treating them right, or they've been mistreated by someone from their race so many times that they're like, I don't have to keep looking for the same type of white guy that treats me wrong because I'm a beautiful white girl. Same can be said for a black girl, same can be said for an Asian girl. Now, in some cases, families just forbid this shit because the families are somehow down home, undercover, in disguise, racist. Alright? And you don't know who comes from those type of families until you get entangled in them. That being said, you kind of have to step on your eggshells carefully because a cut eggshell can cut your foot. Just like a slippery rock. So, here's how this works. Alright, let me see if I can put this in proper word context. So, for the most part, the most dangerous person to a black man is another black man because of the rate of black on black crime, which is a lot higher than black on white crime and black on Asian crime. Alright? And this works throughout the entire cycle. More white people kill white people than black people who kill white people. Not saying that black people and white people do not kill each other, and most of the time it's like a victim of circumstance. It's the same thing with a rape victim. More rape victims are raped by people that they know versus people that they don't. So some of the rape statistics are off the chart because a lot of those rapes that are raped by people that they know go unreported due to the fact that it's either date rape, acquaintance rape, or husband raping their wife. And in that case, no ethnicity matters because that's all over the scale. But for what this video purpose about murdering, we're going to talk about racism and how this affects us before we get into all these black lives, Asian lives, and white lives matter. So in effect, I'm going to be the first to tell you, I do strongly believe that all lives matter. But when it comes down to stuff like this, being a person of color, I know because I've had more reverse racism from black people than I've had from Asian people or white people. I've told you guys this before. So, a lot of my youth growing up, I've got a lot of rejection from people of color. And by people of color, I specifically mean black people because I am mixed. It kind of don't want nothing to do with me most of the time. Now, I have good friends that are black. They don't have a problem with me being mixed, and they treat me just like I'm a human being, like I should be treated. Where I've had more cases of people who were black who could rather see me get hit by a truck than be my friend and talk to me and stuff like that. It happens. This probably also happens amongst the Asian community and the white community, but since I am not in the Asian community, I can't really give you that experience. Same thing with the white community. I'm not in the white community, so I can't really give you that experience. But I can say, have I had racist incidents with white people? Yeah. But not as many as I've had with black people. Have I had incidents with Asian people? Yeah. But not as many as I've had with white people and black people. You see where I'm going with that? Because here's the thing. More black people kill more black people due to all the crap they watch on TV. Because instead of finding a positive role model to follow like The Rock, they find gangsters and they want to do GTA stuff. because we don't have positive things that people can look forward to in the black community. Even though a lot of the black rappers do tell them, look, you can't do this, but it's not the black rapper's fault if one of the little black kids grows up and decides, I want to be a thug. That's not something that anybody really encourages, but you can't change someone's mind. And then it's the same thing. You don't know how many people in white families go and say, well, son, I want you to be a stockbroker. And the son goes, no, fuck that. I want to be a rock star. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're being a rock star and not a rock star going around beating the shit out of people, raping people at your concerts and shit like that. And no, not all white rock stars rape people, before I get any comments on that. And not all black stars are like R. Kelly, before I get a comment on that. And most of America doesn't really know any Asian stars, so that category is like really off-bound unless you know BTS, unless you know BoA, unless you know Ori, unless you know Nana Kitana. If you listen to Japanese music, if you know Trigger, that company puts out a lot of multilateral anime music, because Amanda Lee sings the American versions of things from Sword Art Online and Kill la Kill and Kill or some crap like that. You get the gist. But Sapphire, they also sing the English versions of a lot of Asian songs. So if you're not up with anime, you don't know the singers who sing anime, so you're pretty much screwed. Shout out to Emily and shout out to BoA, who is one of my favorite singers because she also sings in English. I have the CD in the car somewhere. And shout out to Ori, who I just discovered not too long ago. I don't really know BTS like talking about it because I don't really listen to dudes sing unless they're in a Japanese animated soundtrack, and then I'll find out who they are, like Arson Cilia and something porn something, because they're in the Full Metal Alchemist soundtracks. Alright? Yeah, same thing with Nana Canada, but she has her own stuff. And then Babe Metal, stuff like that one of my teachers introduced me to, because he's like a hardcore Japanese music fan, and he got me into it. I will not remember his name, but he has a copy of my book. But anyway, so that being said, we're going to go into some more factual shit. So here's where I piss off a bunch of Asian people. So let me apologize to you now. Okay, so it is no secret that Asia, all of Asia, has had inside wars against themselves in their own countries. Alright? Even Japan had its War in States era. Mongolia had its unification, and then they came after China. And even the one time world leader of China was technically a Mongolian because it was Genghis Khan. And then Kublai Khan. If history's telling the truth, both of those guys actually were Mongolians first. And then they're kind of the reason why they built the wall. It's a long story. You can go fact check that shit. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And that way I'll know that I'm wrong. And then China has had its war and state eras as well, for the Qing dynasty, the Ming dynasty, etc., etc. As far as I know, I don't think Nepal or Tibet has had any civil wars. I could be wrong. I don't know much about that country. Laos had something going on because the movie The King and I was based on some live action shit that happened down in Laos with the king of that little country. I can't say much about Indonesia. I can't say much about Malaysia. I can say a small bit of North and South Korea, North and South Vietnam. Those places had wars against each other because you have North Korea versus South Korea. America's helped South Korea. You have North Vietnam versus South Vietnam. I do not know which side that we were on. I just know that the Vietnam War ended 3 years after I was born. So Vietnam War ended between 76 and 75. Possibly had secret wars going on until 79. But again, I was a kid, so it doesn't really matter. But the fact of the matter is, there's been a lot of Asian on Asian wars from country to country. And Asians started getting along better once the discovery of Americans and stuff started happening. It's a long story. But anyway, even Native American tribes had warring state eras. And just because it's not written in a history book doesn't mean it didn't happen. Because the Mohawks, the Apaches, the Lakota, these are some of the more dangerous sounding tribes because that's just how it was back in the West, the dangerous sounding tribes. The Apache were pretty much the most dangerous tribe that there was, and we all know Geronimo. So now that we got that out the way, let's get up to modern day times. The fact that there is black on black crime, first off, is a crying shame, but to deny it would be like slapping Jesus in the face. You can't deny the fact that there is a fuck ton of black on black crime. The same thing can be said about white on white crime and Asian on Asian crime. There's a fuck ton of it. And we're all in more danger from someone who looks like us than someone who don't. Which is still, it's kind of hard as fuck to believe. Why are we all racist? You know, because we're more in danger from people who look like us than people who don't. Why can't all of our races just get along? It's because people don't want to sit down and have a conversation about why all our races can't get along. We all want to wash our asses. We all want to brush our teeth. We all love deodorant and hair care products. You know, so what the fuck is it about us as humans that just make us say, you know what, I don't like this guy? And truth be told, it's just purely racism starts at home. You know, racism, honestly, truly to God, it starts at home, and it doesn't have to, but it does. And if you're not aware that you are a racist, this is the time to learn that before something bad happens. Not that nothing bad isn't happening enough as it is with the whole COVID-19 and outward racism from our leaders and everything. Sorry, my mouth was getting dry. The thing we have to understand, the thing that separates us is really small. The thing that makes us the same is really big. But we're fighting over something that we can change if we choose to, and the world just chooses not to. So all lives do matter, you know. But here's the thing, and I have a sign somewhere in here. It's totally like butchered, but I don't know if you guys can read this, so I'm going to tell you what I meant to write versus what I actually wrote. Alright, so it says, when you join these, and it's supposed to be damn movements, make damn sure your cause is real. Remember, all lives truly do matter. Now get our shit together. Ebonically written for y'all. Okay, so what I initially tried to write when I got this damn thing going was, and before I realized that my spelling totally sucks, all lives do matter. But when you are in one of these movements, when you are fighting for one of these causes that is so awesome, make sure you're in the cause for the right reason. If you're going in the cause to cause problems and you're causing strife for the cause itself, then you don't need to be there because you're part of the fucking problem. Alright? If you're joining the All Lives Matter movement or the Black Lives Matter movement, the White Lives Matter movement, the Asian Lives Matter movement, I don't know if there's a Mexican Lives Matter, but their lives matter too. So, if you're joining all these causes, but you're only going there to cause problems and do chaos and stuff, first off, let me flash back to a couple of weeks ago. I watched a young black lady fuck up the Black Lives Matter thing in front of whatever home they were in Jesus' name. Here's that thing for all you religious people, or you religious psychotics using God's name as an excuse to do bad things. Because if you are really a person of God, you don't go around causing problems for others. That's not something very godly. That's not something Jesus would do. Jesus would probably sit down and talk to the person to straighten them up. So, that being said, you know, if you're joining these causes just so that you can randomize, smash things, and bust stuff up, you're not helping anyone. So you need to stay the hell at home. Because there's no need for tiki torches to come through a town and for people to start saying, Jews will not replace us. Or for you to go to a Black Lives Matter and throw a Molotov cocktail into a crowd of police officers. It's not cool for you to cause problems. If you're going to protest and you're going to hold your sign up in all the glory and peaceful, that's what you're supposed to do. But there's a lot of people in these movements that just go there to cause fucking problems, which is why we're in the boat we're in now. Not counting the coronavirus, but just because of the simple fact that when you join these movements, You have to make sure that you are joining for the right reason. Not because your friend's there, not because there's hot chicks there, because that would probably be the only reason why I would be there. But, you know, hey, I'm an honest man. I do think that all lives matter. And I also think that there is a time and a place for me to be where I need to be. Alright? I'm going to make a second part of this video, so please stick tuned. And thank you guys very much.